Hello, my name's Daniel. I'm head of acting here at Brighton. We're a drama school, and I'm going to give you a little bit of advice on auditioning for drama schools. The first thing is to make sure that you've checked the brief. Most drama schools are going to ask you to do at least 2 audition pieces, and they should be contrasting. But different schools are going to ask for different requirements. So make sure that, and you might be auditioning for several drama schools. And each of those can be different. So make sure that you've checked the brief, that you understand what the pieces are, whether they've got to be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whether you're picking from a set list or whether you get a free choice, whether it's classical, contemporary, modern. There's no point preparing pieces and then turning up with the wrong material. You might end up, if you're auditioning for several schools, needing at least 3 or 4 monologues and possibly a song. What is a monologue? A monologue is a speech by a single character taken from a play or a film. So that means it's one character speaking to either one person or several people or a group of people, but it's like a speech from one character. When picking the material, I would pick a monologue from a performed or published play as opposed to a film. Most drama schools are going to stipulate that it has to be from a play as opposed to a film. The advantages of plays are that you will find more monologues in there. It's a sort of more wordy medium. Films are more visual by their very nature. And the difficulty with things from film or television is that if there's a really good record of it, if Al Pacino's done a fantastic speech and we all know it, it's going to be very difficult for you to top Al Pacino. So go for a play. Whatever you pick should be a published or performed play, as opposed to something that might be just written on the internet. There are lots of monologues available on the internet, but they're just monologues. They don't come from a complete play, which means you can't do your due diligence. You can't do your research. You can't get an idea of where the characters come from, where they're going, what the overall story journey is about. And it's important that you read the whole play once you've picked your monologue, because the people you're auditioning for, odds are they're going to know the play and they're going to know the character. And if you're making very strange choices about that because you haven't read the whole play, then you're going to be in difficulty. A couple of key rules on picking monologues. The characters, I would choose something that's close to your playing age and range. So if you're 18, don't pick a monologue for a character that's 60. And I would also go for something that's in your own accent, or if you can do an accent absolutely brilliantly. Don't pick something where you're doing an accent and you can't really do it. When you're picking the types of characters and the monologues, really go for contrast. So think binary, sort of happy, sad, upbeat, downbeat. Make sure that your monologues really give a contrast, because what you're trying to do is show your range. So don't do 2 characters that are similar. Don't do 2 stories or emotional journeys that are similar. In terms of choosing the pieces, there are monologue books. Methuen publish quite a few of those, so you can find books that have monologues for male actors, female actors, different ages. They're quite useful. They'll give you an overview of the play, give you an overview of the character, and obviously the monologue. If you are using those, make sure that once you've picked your monologues, that you then go and buy the whole play and that you read the whole play. There's nothing worse than taking a monologue from the play that you don't really understand the context. Then you might make decisions that aren't right or very much against the character, and the odds are that you'll be performing it for a panel of professionals who will know the play and they will know the character. When you're working on your monologue, it's really good to ask yourself some very keen basic acting questions. So the sort of 5 W's, the where, what, why, when, who, are always very useful. So where has your character come from? Where are they going? Where are they now? What's the situation they find themselves in? Is there an emotional journey for them? Why do they do what they do? Say what they say, feel what they feel. When does the action take place, and how does it affect all of those other questions that I've just asked? And who? Who are they? Who are their family, their friends, their enemies, their colleagues? All of those are really good questions that we can ask ourselves as an actor of the character and of the text. When you're working on your monologues, make sure that you keep your timings accurate. And consider this also when you're picking your pieces. If you've been asked to present a 2 to 3 minute speech, make sure that it runs at least 2 minutes and it doesn't run over 3 minutes. That's really important, because the worst thing you can do is run under or over, or you're running over and then somebody has to stop you. So make sure that if the brief is 2 to 3 minutes or 3 to 4 minutes, that your monologues are running to time, and time them as you're performing them. Sometimes when you read something through, you can get through it a lot quicker than when you're actually performing it. Generally, when you do an audition piece, you don't really need any props or costume. So don't start bringing tons of things in with you, because that's not going to be appropriate in the audition room. However, having said that, if it's something that's really simple, like it's a letter, it could be a piece of paper or a very simple prop that you can use, then that might be a good idea to use that and rehearse with that. Also, if you're going from one piece to another, you can make some very simple differences in the way that you look, in terms of maybe that you take a jacket off, put a jacket on, or if you've got a rehearsal skirt, that you might sort of lose that and then just be in leggings, etc., especially if you're going from a classical to a contemporary character. But don't make it anything that's complicated or difficult. Just a sort of a swift change that you can literally take a jacket off or put it on, or take out a piece of paper or put it away. That's about as far as you need to go in terms of props and costume, just to give a kind of a flavour, give you something to work with as an actor. Another useful tool when you're looking at your monologues is to make sure that it has a clear beginning, middle, and end. Classic storytelling: beginning, middle, end. In fact, you can break a monologue into 4 components. Quite often, I find that the first couple of lines will be your opening statement, so make sure they're really clear, because quite often that's sort of what you're going to be speaking about. Then there's the main body of the story or the text, which quite often builds to a climax. So make sure that you're on that upward trajectory, that sort of working towards that moment, that piece of action. And then very often there's a sort of conclusion. So that's a very easy way to break your speech up into 4 much more manageable chunks. Make sure that you've rehearsed. I mean, really rehearsed, really practice, more than you think you need. What will happen is you'll get nervous. And when we get nervous, we start to panic, and our brains are designed to go binary, to shut down. You play dead, run away. So what you need to be is you need to be over prepared. So even though you're nervous, you're still on it and you know what you're doing. And even with those nerves, you can say the lines, get to the character, get through it. So over prepare. You can't learn the piece enough. You need to be able to say it practically backwards, say it without even thinking about it. So make sure you've really practiced, and that means you've got to give yourself lots of time to prepare. Don't start thinking you can pick a piece the week before your audition. You've got to start a long time before that. When you go to your audition, make sure that you arrive early. Give yourself loads of time. The worst thing you want to do is to be running late and be in a panic and arrive all out of breath and out of sorts. So aim to arrive at least half an hour earlier than you need to be. If possible, find somewhere where you can warm up your body, warm up your voice. There's lots of things you can do, even if you don't have a space of your own, just in terms of, do some mouth, face exercises, shake hands out, run through the pieces. Auditions are kind of strange, weird false things, if you like. They're not like being in the theatre where you've got the audience in darkness, you've got a stage with a nice set, you've got a costume, you've got other actors to work with. You're generally in a bright, open, empty room with a panel of people sitting sort of way over there. And that can be very nerve-wracking and slightly intimidating. But don't be put off. Somebody has to get in, and why not you? Actually, if you start thinking about it from the panel's point of view, you want to be solving their problem. You want to be the next best student that they give a place to. So go in there confident, but not overconfident. Remember that as you walk through the door, the audition has already started. It's not a sort of on-off. So look at the panel when you first come in, smile, introduce yourself, be open, be interesting and interested, be polite, do all those kind of things. When you're actually performing the pieces, one thing that you don't want to do is go eyeball to eyeball with the panel or anybody in the panel. So I would pitch it just over the tops of their heads, or if you're talking to an imaginary character, talk to them. The panel will want to be able to watch you and make notes, and if you're going eyeball to eyeball with them, it can be difficult. So don't make eye contact whilst you're doing your actual speeches, but obviously when you're talking to the panel, you do need to make eye contact. Remember, it's your audition, so take your time, don't rush. When I say take your time, don't be sort of overly indulgent with that. But again, when we get nervous, we tend to panic and then we tend to rush things. So take your time, breathe, give yourself some time to set up, to move into the piece, to transition into it as you would if you're waiting to make an entrance on the side of the stage. Give yourself that moment to prepare and step into the piece. If something goes wrong, don't panic. If you need to stop and start again, just say, I'm sorry, I need to start again. And start again. Give yourself a moment and start again. That's the most professional thing that you can do. The worst thing to do is to start, feel that it's all going wrong, then you're thinking about that rather than the piece, and then things break down. Just stop, say, I'm sorry, I'm going to start again. Some auditions you'll do will just be doing the audition pieces. You'll go in, do your 2 pieces, the panel say thank you, and that will be it. Sometimes there's an interview later, sometimes there's a workshop. If you're doing an audition like we do here at Brighton, you'll do the audition pieces and then there's an interview process. So be prepared for questions. The most common questions might be why you chose the pieces, how you prepared them, whether you work with anybody else on them. They're also going to ask you about your previous drama experience and why you want to train, and perhaps the actor you like most, or a performance that you've seen recently, or a play that you've been in. So think about the possible questions you could be asked, both of yourself and the material, and have a think about the answers that you could give to those questions. Once you've done the audition pieces and you've done the interview, if there is one, then leave with good grace. So if you feel everything's gone completely wrong, then don't get upset and don't bring that attitude with you. Be polite, smile, say thank you. You can legitimately ask when you'll hear the results of the audition. That's a good question. Don't ask for feedback. You won't get it. Most schools are auditioning so many people they can't give individual feedback, and it puts the panel in a difficult position and you in a difficult position as well. If somebody says that was very good, well done, great, accept the praise, move on. So leave with good grace, leave politely, smile, leave them with a positive attitude, and don't ask for feedback. Under the present situation with COVID, then a lot of auditions are happening on Zoom, and Zoom digital media is the way that a lot of the industry is going. So people are doing self-tapes or doing interviews and auditions by Zoom. So everything else about an audition applies even more so. So if you're doing your audition via Zoom, make sure that you've got a nice quiet space in which to do the Zoom meeting, where you're not going to be interrupted, where you've got some space around you if you need to stand up and physically do the audition, if you're going to move about a bit. Make sure that you've got everything set up, all the equipment that you need, that it's working, and give yourself the same kind of time that you would to prepare, get yourself in the zone. And even if you're doing it from home, don't be late, don't be in a rush. So set it all up nice and early, do a good warm up, make sure you're prepared, sign on to the Zoom meeting a little bit early, all of the things that you would do as if you were in the room. Obviously remember that you're talking to a camera, so you're going to have an edge of frame. You can always set things up on your laptop so you can see what the people on the other side are seeing. So that might be good to just practice, put the laptop into camera mode, make sure you know the area that you can stand in and be seen. There's nothing worse than your head going out of shot or being over to one side. So do all the prep that you would do, but actually in some ways you've got a little bit of an advantage with Zoom because you know the environment that you're going to be in. If you're looking to do a course here with us at ACT, then for both the foundation and the diploma, we have no upper age limit. So our students go from 16 on foundation and 18 on diploma, right up into the 60s, possibly the 70s. I think the oldest graduate we've had was in the late 60s. And what we find is that gives us a really nice mixture of ages and backgrounds and experiences on the courses, and it's much more akin to working in industry. So people aren't trying to play a character in their 50s when they're 18, and equally they're not trying to play somebody that's 18 where they're 60. So you get that nice mixture of ages and experiences and backgrounds. For the foundation course, you need to be 16 and above. If you're between 16 and 18, you need permission from your parents to do the course or from a guardian. Diploma, you need to be 18 years old and above. If you apply for the courses, you've either got to do an audition for foundation and diploma, and preferably one of our workshops as well, the 2-week workshops. If you've done a workshop and you do the feedback and the feedback is good and you're applying for foundation, then we will offer you a place just on the workshop and the workshop feedback. If you're looking to do diploma, then preferably you need to do the workshop and the audition. If you're unable to do a workshop, then you can just do the audition. All the information about auditions is on the website. It should be under the apply tag. There you'll be able to find out the dates of the next auditions. You'll also be able to find out about the next workshops, and there's a handy audition guide which goes over actually in a lot more detail some of the things that I've been talking about. I hope you found some of this advice useful for your auditions or your up-and-coming auditions. If you're about to prepare your pieces, then good luck, and I hope you get a place on the course that you want.